Right, today I'm in Worcestershire with Mark Hill. Thanks very much for agreeing to talk to us today, Mark. Now, the first question I want to know is really, are you a poacher or a gamekeeper?
I'd have to say both. I take it you mean by Poacher Punter and Gamekeeper Bookmaker, so it's the opposite side of the same coin as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so you're predominantly these days a point-to-point bookmaker.
Yeah.
And are you also predominantly a point-to-point punter?
Yes, both. Yeah.
So where's your sort of patch?
Punting anywhere. I mean, weekend just gone. I went up to Alnwick on Saturday and back down to Sheriff Hutton on Sunday. But bookmaking, more the West Midlands and Wales.
Okay, so the point-to-point bookies, I would say that must be like the last bastion of one-course bookmaking these days. So you got no Betfair, so you've got to form the market, sort of go from there. So is it difficult for a lot of people?
Well, it is going back in time where people had to have an opinion, do a bit of work, and get your head in the form book to form an opinion, and then if it's good enough and it stands up, then I think there's obviously, as you say, no Betfair, and so we have to make our own odds.
Okay, now I used to go to a lot of point-to-points, and you get a fella come round about on the 40 minutes before runners, and so you only get the runners 40 minutes before the race.
Yeah.
So then you're up on the still taking bets. So how difficult is it to price up a race in such a short period of time on that? With the notice you've been given.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I will have done all the groundwork in the week before the Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is. So I've got a fair idea of a race, and when I get the actual runners, I can cross out sort the wheat from the chaff, if you like.
Okay, so when you're going to a point-to-point with your tools as a bookmaker, are you there predominantly as a bookmaker, or were you, depending on the card, be there as a punter as well?
Again, both. I suppose predominantly as a bookmaker, especially in maiden races. The opens, you don't tend to get as many results, and so it's not unbeknown for me to keep a favourite on my side, for instance. So a bit of both.
So in the maidens, would you be around the paddock having a look, or would you get somebody to mark your card?
Not for me, Simon. I am the worst paddock judge there's ever been, I think. I mean, I don't know after all these years, how fit horses are, so I don't go on the paddock at all.
Okay. We'll talk about it a bit later on. You were quite prolific as a racecourse bookmaker, which you've sort of cut down drastically now. But what would be the biggest difference between making a book on course and at a point-to-point, apart from the exchanges?
Well, obviously the exchanges. I'd have to say these days, I would take more money at a point-to-point than, well, especially a midweek race meeting. I mean, I've still got some pitches. I mean, I still go locally to Worcester and Hereford, but Hereford on a Tuesday, you're taking a couple of £100 a race. I mean, there is definitely more money around at point-to-pointing.
Okay, you say you just studied the form.
Yeah.
Is the information there like it is for racing under rules? Could you like pro form, that sort of thing?
Oh, there's loads of information for pointing now. I mean, I'd spend all week with my head in the form book or watching videos. You can get videos of every race now.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you. But you watch the videos as well.
Yeah.
Is there a resource online, or do you have to buy them at the point?
You can pay for it through Weatherby's online annually.
Okay, so how many hours would you spend a week in the form book?
When the season really gets going, and there's meetings on Saturday and Sunday, I would spend all week doing it basically. Probably take me a couple of days to do one meeting and a couple of days to do the other meeting.
And would you be in contact with sort of friends of yours that would have been at other points asking for extra, if there was anything extra that wouldn't be in the form book?
The thing about pointing is there's such knowledgeable people. There's point-to-point forums. I don't tend to put my opinions on there. I keep them generally to myself, but there's a lot of knowledgeable people going pointing, especially this time of year, sort of December, January, where the crowds are a bit thin. They know their stuff.
Okay, so would you put much value on what people tell you as an information? I mean, does it pay to be well connected? Would you have people that you would totally sort of take on board what they said if you told them once something needed to run? Or
I listen to other people's opinions, people I respect, but when I've formed my own opinion, that's it really. Too many mistakes from having your own opinion and then being put off it. It's no. When I've done the work, I've done the work.
Okay, now you say that there's a lot of well-informed people at the point to points. So how many punters would there be that you see them wandering down the line and you think, oh no, I hope he leaves me out?
I don't hope they leave me out, because if I've got the price on the board and I think this is the right price, I'll give them a bet. But no, I don't want anybody to leave me out.
Right, so you wouldn't think that if they bet one with you, you've made a rick?
I'd make lots of ricks, but no, if I think I've got the price right, that's I'll stand by it.
Okay, so you've done all the work.
Yeah.
You found the short one that you don't particularly fancy for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't got the luxury that your on-course bookies have got with a machine to lay it on.
No.
Are there times when you just can't get it in the book?
There will be, because if the price is wrong in the first place, a lot of the punters know that, so they're not going to take 6-4, something that really should be a 3-1 chance. It's just about getting the price correct. But it is frustrating if you, as you say, you don't fancy the favourite and you can't lay it. But then I'd probably then back something else.
Well, I was just going to ask that. So would prices dictate that you suddenly opt off a stool and back one?
Yeah, I think price is everything.
And I would imagine that your fellow bookies know that you're a pretty sharp cookie. And
Okay.
are they reluctant to take your bets?
Yeah, I sometimes have to get somebody a little less well known to put a few on for me.
You have an incognito team that come along?
Oh yeah, generally.
Okay, so how much? There's quite a lot of I remember even in the Weatherbees there used to be some quite cutting remarks about various skills of jockeys.
Yeah, pity that died out really. It was when it was written by Ian Mackenzie, who was cracking read.
How much consideration would you take into account with a bet with the jockeys? Will a bet become a lay when you find out that the various pilots on it?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays you really know the jockeys when the entries come out, they're jocked up.
Oh, right, okay.
They do change on the day, and that is a hell of a difference. I mean, for instance, there's a hunter chase today at Ludlow where the horse I fancy last time out was ridden by the owner, and today it's got Alex Edwards, who's probably about the best point-to-point hunter chase rider there is. He's riding it, so I would expect a vast improvement in that horse.
Okay, so how many years have you been doing this at points? How many years experience have you got?
I started going pointing probably when I was 15 or 16, and I started trying to get some pitches when I was 18 and couldn't get any, and just turned up every week and became a bit of a nuisance and quite persistent. Eventually got one here and one there, and been doing it ever since, so probably best part of 40 years. So
were you always based around this area?
Yeah.
So with quite a proliferation of racecourses around here, what was it drew you to points especially?
I don't know, we got a local course at Upton-on-Severn, which used to race on Easter Tuesday. Used to manage to get the day off school for that, and led from there really. So
what is it you love so much about Between the Flags racing?
I just like the informal atmosphere of it. You know, you don't have to have a badge to go into members. You can go where you want. You can go and stand in the middle of the field on your own. You can get close up to it. I just find it's a bug really. Okay,
I still go to my local Tiverton one, and the stewards are on a trailer.
That's right.
So how well policed is point-to-point racing compared to racing under rules?
I have to say it's very well policed. To be frank about it, the punting in point to points is, well, it suits me better because it's straight. I mean, I can't think of anything probably worse than backing something in a 5 furlong race at Pontefract where you don't get a run, it gets boxed in, there's excuses afterwards, or backing a horse that's running around trying to get a handicap mark. I'm pretty sure that if I back a horse in a point, I'm going to get a try for my money.
Okay, so you've sort of answered the question. How many races in the season that you've watched would you regard as, like, in inverted commas, dubious?
I don't, because I don't think they are, because the season's too short to be messing around. You'll generally find people with a couple of horses, a few horses, they train their horse the same every year. It probably has 5 or 6 runs. It comes in at the same time. It's trained the same. Its fitness is usually the same year in, year out, and they just run them.
And what would you say that since you started, the standard of jockeyship and training has gone up?
Yeah, training. Yeah, jockeyship. I'm not so sure. I've seen, there's been some good riders over the years, especially the girls. Really, we've had, from Alison Dare, Polly Gundry, Polly Curlin, and good friend of mine, Julian Pritchard in the men's. They're going back years, they were good riders.
Okay, so how many miles do you think you would cover in a season going to these places?
Oh goodness, as I say, last weekend I was way up north at Alnwick. I'll go down to Larkhill this Saturday and Lincoln on Sunday, I think. It'll be between November and May. It'll be a lot.
Okay. Any particular travelling disasters or whatever in your time?
Travelling disasters.
Well, if you've driven like 500 miles, turned up and there's a Land
Oh,
Rover
I do remember years and years ago that before there was mobiles and whatever, driving to a few, driving down to Somerset, and you'd get to the gate and there'd be a farmer there saying it's off, and just turn around and go back again. Yeah.